Okay, so when we do this tomorrow, make sure you get all four answers for those first three. So let's have our phones away and our books away and our laptops down. This won't take us long. Okay, so we're supposed to find the first three terms and then the eighth term of the sequence. And here's the rule for our sequence. So remember, A sub 1 means we're looking for the first term. So wherever we see n, we put a 1. A sub 2 means second term. So wherever we see n, we put a 2. A sub 3, third term. So again, 3 for n. And then the 8. It'll be the same tomorrow. First three terms and the 8. Okay, and then we just find those four answers. Okay, when you have parentheses, you know, Aunt Sally says you got to do what's in parentheses first, right? You do the 1 minus 1, which is 0 times 1, so that would be 0. And then 2 minus 1 is 1 times 2 is 2. And 3 minus 1 is 2 times 3 is 6. And 8 minus 1 is 7 times 8 would be 56. And that's the wrong one, right? Where's my practice? Guys, why didn't you guys stop me?
Extra practice.
Extra practice for me? Thanks. I was on a roll. Where'd I put it? Just look at this. Had it out yesterday. I don't know what happened to it. All right, sorry about that. It's n times 3n minus 2. Sorry about that. Okay, so 1 again for n. And then 2n for n. And then 3. And then 8. All right, so 3 times 1 is 3 minus 2 is 1 times 1 is 1. And 6 minus 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. And 9 minus 2 is 7 times 3 is 21. And 24 minus 2 is 22 times 8 is 176. Is that right? Okay. Any questions on the first one? Okay. Oh, I guess it's not A, it's B, right? This was 1. I guess 1's up here, and this was A, right? And this is B. So the rule for this one is -2 to the n plus 1 power over n. So again, wherever we see an n, we're going to put 1, 2, 3, and then 8. So that's -2 to the second, which is +4 over 1, so that would be 4. For the second term, it would be 2 plus 1, 3. So negative 2 to the third is negative 8 divided by 2. So that one's negative 4. Okay. Third term, 3 plus 1. And 3 plus 1 is 4, so negative 2 to the fourth is a positive 16. And you can just leave it like that. If you put 5.3 repeating, that's okay. And then the fourth term is negative 2 to, I'm sorry, not the fourth, but the eighth term. And that's negative 2 to the ninth, which was what? Negative 512? If I remember right, I had it done. And that's negative 64, I think. Did I do that one right? I remember that one right? I'm not sure what happened to my practice that I had done. All right. The last one, or the third one, we're taking negative 1/3 to a power. So the first power, anything to the first power is itself. Second power, just 1 squared and 3 squared. This can square the top and the bottom. 2 negatives, though, make it positive 1/9. To the third power, it's negative 1 over 27, 3 times 3 times 3. Then the eighth term, it's a positive 1 because it's an even exponent. And then 3 to the 8th was what? 65, 61, or 61, 65? What was it? Thanks. And if you did the decimals, like 0.00015, I think, or 51, with the 1.5? Yeah. Thanks. Okay, some of you had, might have said 1.5 something. Your calculator might have said this, 1.5 and a bunch of stuff, and then it says e to the negative fourth at the end. Okay, so don't put just the 1.5. What's the e to the negative 4 telling you? What? Yeah, times 10 to the negative 4th, meaning you're moving the decimal point which way? Left 4 spots. So that's where it's the 3 zeros in front. So it's 0.00015 and so on. Okay? So a lot of you get in a hurry, you look at that number and you guys will just put this. Okay, that's really not right. You need to remember it's saying e to the negative 4, meaning it's in scientific notation. Okay, so what I like to do on something like that is I just take the 3 to the 8th power, and that's where that 65, 61 came from. All right, so those are real easy. Just putting 1, 2, 3, and 8 in place of n and figuring them out. Cameron?
What'd you get for 1B? What was the for 8 and
1? 4.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. For 2, A, B, and C, it was one of those recursive ones. So to have a recursive problem, you need to know the first term so you can find the rest of them. Because this, I'll go back to here. I don't have a lot of room. Remember this, when you see this, right, this whole thing means previous term. A lot of you are still thinking you have to do some subtraction, right? So that whole thing means the term that came before. All right? You don't have to do any extra subtracting one or anything. Okay? A lot of you are thinking that still. All right? So I already have the first term. So all I'm asking for is the second and the third term. Okay? You don't have to find the fourth. Some of you are finding three answers, which is okay, but you don't have to do that. Okay? So 4 is in both of these. And then it's times the previous term. Well, the previous term for the second term would have been the first term, which was what number? 2. So I put a 2 in that spot. I get the 8. All right? The previous term for the third term is the second term. So what do I put in the parentheses? The 8, right? So the 2 goes there, and then the 8 goes there. If I had to find the fourth, I'd go 4 times 32. Okay? Are we understanding that? That's what's called a recursive formula, recursive rule or sequence. All right? 2b, the first term was 4. And then the rule was n times the previous term plus 1. Okay? Remember, n represents which term I'm looking for. Right? So if I'm looking for the second term, I put 2 in for n. Then I have the previous term, which was 4. And that answer is 9. For the third term, n would be 3. The previous term is the 9. And then remember, you got to add 1. So you go 3 times 9, 27, plus 1 is 28. So 4, 9, and 28 are the first 3 terms of that one. Question? All right. 2c, the first term is 2. And then the rule for the nth term is 4 times n times the previous term. Okay, so the second term starts with a 4. The third term will start with a 4 also. N is what term we're looking for. Second term n is 2. Third term n is 3. And then we use the previous term. 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. And then we put the previous term in to get the third term. 12 times 16 was 192. Is that right? Questions on recursive type sequence? All right. On the back, you got the summation. They call the series. Okay? So this is called the Greek symbol or letter sigma, which means sum. So we're doing the same thing that we did on these first 2 problems, but we have to finish by adding up all the answers that we find. Okay? Now, when I showed you these for examples, and in the book or whatever we did, it was, and then what do I always use? It's always, I'm using X for this. It looked like this, all right? But the way it looks when I type it in a Word document, instead of the X being underneath, it was like right here, okay? You know, this first one, you know, we're used to seeing it like this, but the way it typed out in our Word document, where it starts and where it ends is right at the end of those lines instead of top, up above and below. So it means, those mean the same, except for this first one's 5 instead of 4, right? Okay, so here's the rule for our series. So what this means is to start by putting 1 in for X, and then put 2 in for X, 3 in for X, 4 in for X, and 5 in for X. Okay? So you have to find 5 answers, and then at the end, you got to add those 5 answers up to finish it. Okay? So what this means is to do 1 in for X plus 2 in place of X plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay? So 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1, times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3, times 2 is 6. Again, do what's in parentheses first. Right, Connor? And 2 times 3 is 6, minus 1 is 5, times 3 is 15. And 2 times 4 is 8, minus 1 is 7, times 4 is 28. And then 2 times 5 is 10, minus 1 is 9, times 5 is 45. Okay, so when you add all those up, what is that, 95? Is that what it came out to? All right. So just don't forget to add them up after you find them. Any questions on that one? Mason, you all right over there? All right, this one went from 1 to 4. And all we're doing is going 2 over X. So all we're doing is 2 over 1 plus 2 over 2 plus 2 over 3 plus 2 over 4. Okay? And 2 over 1 is a 2, and a 2 over 2 is a 1. And then if you want, you can just do those two. The common denominator would be 12. I'm not using my calculator right now. 3 times 4 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 6. So that's 14 twelfths, which is 7 sixths, which is 1 and 1/6, right? So 3 plus 1 and a 6 is 4 and a 6, or 25 sixths, or 4.1. Is the 6 repeating like that? Is that how that went? I think. All right, so any one of those 3 is fine. Questions on that one? All right, and then the last one, C, we're going from X equals 0 to X equals 7, all right? So we're going to substitute 0 in, okay? And the rule is 7 factorial over x factorial times 7 minus x factorial. Okay? So I think I might have told you guys at the very end, maybe I didn't. You need to put an extra set of parentheses when you put it in your calculator there. Or you're going to get some huge number. All right? And it's not that big of a number, the answer. Okay? So where was this factorial in our calculator? Okay? If I want to do, let's do the 0 factorial. 0, go to math, highlight probability, number 4. So 0 factorial is not 0, it's actually 1. Okay? So here's how I would have done it, or I would do it. Okay? So the first one is 7 factorial over 0 factorial. And I don't put this part. What is 7 minus 0? 7. So I just do that in my head. I write like that. Plus 7 factorial. And then we go 1 in for x. And what's 7 minus 1? 6. And then 2 in for x. And what's 7 minus 2? 5, right? And then 3 in for x. And what's 7 minus 3? 4. Okay? That exclamation point didn't look too good, did it? All right. So, what's going to happen to these two? They're going to cancel, right? And what did we say that was? That answer, the 0 factorial just showed it? 1. And what's something divided by itself? 1, right? So this answer is 1. This is going to be 7 times 6 factorial. What happens to the two 6 factorial? They cancel, right? So what's 7 divided by 1 factorial? 1 is just 1 again. So that's a 7. All right? This would be 7 times 6 times 5 factorial. What happens to the 5 factorial? They cancel, right? So what's 7 times 6? Come on. 42, thank you. What's 2 times 1? 2. What's 42 divided by 2? 21, right? This would be 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 factorial. What happens to the 4s? You get that in green. They cancel, right? The 4s. And this is 3 times 2 times 1. What is 3 times 2? 6. Cancel. What's 7 times 5? 35. So I'm doing it without putting it in the calculator. But you can put it in the calculator. All right? Now watch what happens. So I got up to 3. What's the next x value I got to do? 4, right? Well, what's 7 minus 4? 3. What? Look at the one I just did and that one. What do you see? It's the same problem, isn't it? So what's this answer? That's a 35, right? Now I put 5 in for x. What's 7 minus 5? Thanks, you guys. You're all over it. What do you see there and here? Same problem. So what's the next answer gonna be? 7. What's the last one gonna be? Don't forget that last one. Some of you forgot that last one when you were checking your work with mine, and again, I can't find mine for some reason. So 35 plus 35 is 70, and 21 plus 21 is 42, and 8 plus 8 is 16. So what is that? 58 and 70. What is that? 128? So those of you that got a huge number, you didn't put those parentheses around there. Tommy?
Doesn't only find 7 terms.
No, it doesn't. If it was a 1 to 7, it would be 7 terms. But since it's 0 to 7, it's actually 8 terms. Good question, though. Yeah, so don't forget to put that 0 in. Guess what? Tomorrow's will look just like that. It goes from 0 to something. All right? Any questions? Pretty easy stuff, right? All right, that's all I got. Thanks for attending. I'm trying to stay awake.